Welcome to the PinLeader Podcast, where strategic leaders get straight to the topics, strengthening our awareness and sharpening our minds. The PinLeader Podcast is produced by Roar, a production division of Mays & Associates Ltd. Find out more at www.maysassociatesltd.com. Now here is your award-winning host, Dr. Shanda Gore.
And welcome back to the PinLeader Podcast. Today we're going to be talking about purpose in practice, and I have with me Coach Eddie George. He is the new dynamic leader of the Bowling Green State University football team. So I'm excited about having him here. He's a new coach. He's the 21st coach. And as many of you know, I'm a big Bowling Green fan, as I am a 3-time alum from Bowling Green. But he has a long history before he came to Bowling Green State University, and I want to give him that bio that he so deserves. He is truly award winner, Heisman Trophy winner, NFL legend, Broadway performer, entrepreneur, educator. He rose to national prominence at The Ohio State University, where his iconic 1995 season earned him the Heisman, Maxwell, Doak Walker, and Walter Camp Awards. He's enjoyed a remarkable NFL career with the Houston Oilers, Tennessee Titans, rushing over 10,000 yards without missing a single start, an honor shared with only one other player in league history. After football, Coach actually reinvented himself into equal success. He holds an MBA from Northwestern's Kellogg School of Management, founded the Edge Group, leads a wealth management firm. He's also appeared on Broadway, television, taught at Ohio State, Vanderbilt, and continues to reinvest in community development through the Tamara and Edward George Legacy Fund. He has held so much in his coaching career side from Tennessee State University, where he led a team to consecutive winning seasons and share the Big South OVC championship. In March of 2025, he was named head coach of Bowling Green, and he brings his powerful leadership philosophy centered on guts, gumption, understanding, tenacity, and sacrifice. And we'll get into that and what that means. You know, he's also a noted, devoted family man. He has 2 sons, share his journey in football. He's been married for 21 years to Tamara Taj George from the R&B group SWV. And he really talks about how his family, how he is a devoted, family man, but also with discipline and understanding transformation and purpose and how he inspires others. So without further ado, hi, Coach George.
Good morning, Shanda. Good seeing you.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you very much. So we're going to get right into it about your purpose and practice and what it means. And I know one of the questions we were talking about offline was about that player to coach, and that's a different type of leadership. Can you talk about, that moment that, when you thought about, I'm going to become a coach after being a player for so long?
Well, yes. I didn't start coaching immediately after my playing days. There was 15 years that you just talked about, from me going from performer on Broadway, actually acting and my entrepreneurship, teaching, all that stuff, and being a husband, father, and everything else. And it didn't happen until 2021 when I had a business relationship with Linda Glover, who was the president at Tennessee State. I was working with her and her sorority with some wealth management opportunities. And she called me one morning or texted me one morning and said she had to talk to me about something very important. And immediately I'm thinking, okay, hopefully the accounts or everything's in working order. We're not losing money. We're good. And she asked me to be the head coach for Tennessee State. And immediately I was offended because I'm like, man, I never coached. And granted, this was off the heels of Deion making a splash at Jackson State at that particular time. So, I had to find out what was the ultimate motive for them wanting me to be the head coach. And it wasn't going to be just for show and clicks and all of that. I had no interest in that. And I really wasn't looking to coach. I had no aspirations of coaching. I wanted nothing to do with it. And my sons were playing the game. I played the game. I called the game. I've commentated. I've done everything in the game but that, and I didn't have any interest in doing it. But she was very persistent in me becoming the head coach. So I sat back in my quiet moments, and I had to really look within to figure out, okay, why is she asking me to be a head coach? Maybe she sees something in me that I don't necessarily see in myself as far as getting in this profession. And I asked myself the question, okay, if I start a program, how would I start it? And when I asked myself that question, all of these ideas, everything that I've done, from teaching to my acting to um, my wealth management business, how I could teach and influence and impact and prepare student athletes for the next phase of their lives, and to prepare them for the wars and the battles and the crucibles of life that they're going to have to go through, and the tools that they need that help me transition from player to player and moment to moment and pivot from beat to beat, so to speak. So once that happened, everything that I did up until that point, like, it all connects. And quite frankly, I was scared to walk down that path. I was scared to go through that door because I didn't know if I could be successful as a coach. I didn't necessarily think about going back to school and or going back to coaching and starting off as a GA, a position coach, and then a coordinator, and then a head coach. That takes years to do. And I felt like, those guys that had been in the business for that long needed to have an opportunity to coach at Tennessee State versus me to be head coach. But again, she saw something in me that I didn't see in myself. And how often would somebody with no technically coaching experience come off the street and coach a Division I program and find success? So it was a great challenge, a great opportunity. And I was so excited about, once I really committed to this profession and the idea of being a coach, teacher, and an influencer, I just ran with it, and I just fell in love with it. Like, I wake up every morning searching for ways of communicating and connecting with my team, my staff, how I can develop this culture, how I can make it better, create an environment for our student athletes to thrive, to heal, to grow, to be challenged, to seek feedback, to connect, and to build something that's special. That only throughout time, that people look back on, like, man, that was a special time in my life, and I've learned so much, and I now have a set of tools and a skill set that has prepared me to be the best man I can be, the best father I can be, and the best whatever title or profession I choose to get into, whatever God purpose I can be. So that, in essence, is how I got into being a coach.
Well, I give you so much credit for stepping back and taking a look at it and saying, what am I bringing to this new role, and how someone saw something in me, right, to be able to do it and would not give up, knowing that you could do this and obviously do it well. I think, that says a lot. And the fact that you kept working on it and practicing it, and just going right in and deciding that I can do this, and and showing that I can do it well. So,
Yes.
Which I know at Bowling Green, you'll do the same thing. So from big time Falcon, and talons up,
Talons up, babe.
talons up. So, talk about this transition that you, and especially when we're talking about leadership, you had a moment of pivoting, and we talk about this in the book. We talk about Penn leaders being able to do that, do it successfully. They're the most effective leaders. Can you talk about how, even because you do have your companies, you're an entrepreneur, you've ventured into other areas, how has those leadership traits that you're using in coaching, or how you used them actually in the business world, and how that really translates into what you're doing?
It all is not compartmentalized. It's all together. If that makes sense. The first person, the one thing that you want to lead first is yourself. As a man, as a woman, as a person, what is leading you, and where are you going? My family, again, is everything. Where am I leading my family? What principles and values and non-negotiables do I have within my own family? That's very important. So I had to learn, and through trial and error, and a lot of um, honest and vulnerable moments, I've had to learn that part. Where am I leading my wife, my children? Uh, what examples am I leaving for them? On an intimate basis, when I'm not in front of the camera, when I'm not outside, when I'm in my home and I'm not having the best day, how do I communicate? How do I still convey a positive attitude in dealing with situations that come up within my personal life? I mean, and that's very important. But that just translates over into everything else. Every business that I've started is started with the same foundation, discipline, development, discernment, transparency, intimacy, trust and integrity. Those things are tried and true. Those are biblical principles that stood the test of time. And if you believe in that, if you study it, and if you um, are intentional about activating those things on a daily basis and bringing that to life, then that permeates into everything else that you do, whether it's going to work at the grocery store and bagging groceries and doing that with a high level of excellence, to being a head coach, to whatever it is that you touch and do. This is who you are. So those things have helped me do it. Now, in terms of jumping from one opportunity to the next, and going from one profession to the other, there are some things you have to learn, some curves you have to go through, some learning curves you have to go through, and some growing pains that you have to go through, which is good for you in order for you to grow. So that part, that's the gray area that you have to go through. There's no way around that. And that's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. But you apply the same principles, the doggedness, the tenacity, the passion, the hunger, the excitement, the enthusiasm. That outweighs everything that you're going to experience as far as any setbacks or failures that you may have, and it allows you to grow in a deeper sense. So that's kind of how I've been able to do it.
Well, you've got this great acronym that says a lot about how you really talk about leadership and what you expect from those that you're working with and leading as well. Can you talk how that came about, guts, and what that means to you?
The guts. Well, you got to have guts to pursue anything worthwhile, and you have to have a vision that's so big, so ridiculous, so grand that it requires God and miracles to happen for you to accomplish that. And that takes courage. That takes
Yes, it
guts.
does.
It takes a lot of guts. It takes guts to be a leader. It takes guts to do the right things. It takes guts to be disciplined. And about 4 years ago, when I was coming up with my coaching philosophy, everything that I'd done, from acting on Broadway to going back to school to get my master's in business to creating a curriculum at Ohio State to teach for 4 or 5 years about the business of professional sports. So courage to step out there. I don't like to talk. I have an introverted spirit. I'm laid back.
What?
I don't. Yes. I'm a blend of both. I'm a Libra, but on most days, I just like to be my by myself, talk, play my games, chess, whatever, and read, and that's it. So I've been put in a position to perform and to act and to sing and to be vulnerable, and it taught me so many lessons. But um, guts is gumption. The G stands for gumption. And that's having the courage, the initiative, the gall to pursue a God-given purpose, a God-given dream, and be willing and be having humility to put down, hey, I know what I want to accomplish. I know what I want to do, but what does God ultimately want me to do? And it could be to start a church. It could be to start a new business that's going to help others in their finances, or, a nonprofit, whatever that looks like. And it's to impact 1 billion people. You're like, well, how can I do that? Well, that's where understanding comes in, the purpose behind it. Why are you doing this? What is the why behind it? Gaining the understanding, the wisdom to acquire the knowledge of what it's going to take for you to get from point A to point B or point Z. The people that you're going to have to come across, understanding you're going to go through seasons of drought, of dryness, of failure, of some really tough, hard moments where it's going to come into question that, are you even built and ready for this? But then you'll have breakthrough seasons. So understanding that, the process of that, and embracing it. So you have the G, gumption, for courage, the assertiveness, and the initiative to do something. The U, the understanding. The T is for tenacity, to develop a tenacious spirit to, as you go through the adversities that you're going to face, is going to develop a tenacious spirit that you have to have. That's mental and spiritual tenacity. And the S is for sacrifice. You're going to have to give up something to go up. You're going to have to give up your time, some family people, some family members, some old friends, some old relationships, and old habits that no longer serve you. And you're going to have to sacrifice something. That sacrifice sounds like, hey, I'm giving up something. I got to cut off my arm to get where I have to go. No, it's an investment that you're making, an investment of your time, investment of your money, investment of the relationships that, that are no longer serving you or supporting you in that regard, or no longer really vibe with you. So those are the things that I'm talking about. That's what guts means, and that's a lifestyle.
When we're talking about making those decisions, those are some hard choices that you just mentioned, Coach, where you might have had these relationships for decades, and
Right.
because they are not serving you anymore, you had to cut ties. This is a hard decision for many, especially when we do so much work in coaching with individuals who are sole entrepreneurs, sole proprietors, but also those that lead large organizations. And they may have employees that have been with them for a very long time, and they've been leading them, and they're like, oh, I hate to see them go. But also the employee makes a decision too, that this role is no longer serving what their mission or vision is, or there's been a major change, which, within the organization where people had to pivot and challenges are faced. Can you talk about, the emotional intelligence part of those kind of decisions? How does that play into it, especially when we're talking about younger individuals, because you've got, now you're coaching younger individuals on teams. How does emotional intelligence play a part?
It's in development. We talk about my program. There's 3 Ds that I really focus on. That's development, discipline, and discernment. And the emotional intelligence is developed over time. It's developed through, again, allowing your kids to make mistakes and teaching them. Those are teachable moments. I look for those moments, and really having ownership of those moments and an emotional intelligence. Like, there are some things that have happened in the last 3 months where I had to let a player go because he made a horrific mistake. Young player, just got there, and I had to have the discerning spirit to say, it's best for you, it's a blessing for both of us, for you to have a fresh start based off of what happened. Because here it's going to be too difficult for you to overcome. It's going to be a distraction, and it could taint and hinder the entire program if we move down this path. Now, You're better served off of, hey, getting a clean start, starting fresh and new, and learning from your experiences. So that emotional intelligence is nothing it's a process that's not doesn't have a time frame on it where you have it's a 6 month deal or a 4 month deal. It can take it's a lifetime. It's a lifetime, and I'm in my 50s, and I'm still dealing with some things from an emotional intelligence standpoint that I have to have, and it comes down to self control.
Mm-hmm.
It comes down to, again, the discipline. It comes down to awareness. There's a parable in the Bible. I forget. I think it's James. I don't know exactly what it is, but it says, "Be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slower to anger." So, being
Yes.
quick to listen is to understand first and foremost, to listen to what's going on, to listen to the situation, to observe, and then be slow to speak with answers. You may not have all the answers. Assess the situation, gather the information, and then have a discerning spirit how you're going to respond, if you're going to respond at all. And it says, you can get angry, but be slow to anger. So it's a controlled rage. It's a controlled emotion. So now it's very direct. It's intentional. It's under control, and it's done with a sense of passion and purpose. It's not reckless, and you're not going to say something or do something that you're going to regret. So that's something that's preached and that's talked about within our players, that I really harp on, that in moments when we're on the field, it's hot, it's highly competitive, the emotional juices are going. Do you have enough discipline to not make the wrong choice when somebody disrespects you in between the play, and not to react, not to push back, just to hold that, okay, I'm gonna get you back within the framework of the play. And that takes time.
That also really translates to business as well, and especially when decisions or in personal, with friendships and relationships. So very much discipline in that. So now I'm going to get to, I call them the fun questions, is what are you reading and what are you watching that when you have time?
Oh, wow. I'm watching Ted Lasso and Neighbors and Friends on Apple TV. Currently reading, I just finished a really good book. Dawn Staley, her book, Uncommon Faith, phenomenal read. Love her book. Love to talk to her. That's somebody you got to get on this podcast.
Okay.
She's incredible.
I'm
Philly
working on
girl,
it.
tough. She is it. I love it. Love her. And also I'm reading the book, The Seven Commitments of a Great Team by John Gordon. And I have another book called Legacy that I'm currently reading. So I have like 3 different books. Well, I'm done with those 2. Now I'm currently working on
Wait a
on my
minute.
third.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
You've got like 3 of them going at the same time, right?
Well, I just finished both of them. I finished Uncommon Faith last week. The Seven Commitments of a Great Team. I just finished in 3 days, and now I'm on Legacy. So that's my summer reading. That was my goal.
Well, I'm going to make sure you get the PinLeader Path too. I want to get on your list somehow. I'm going to slide in there and get in there. We talk about so much about strength of character, which you mentioned, that's so critically important to effective leaders, and having an opportunity to be having a strategic plan, knowing where you're going. You've always had some level of a plan. I did read somewhere that you, at 11 years old, were practicing your Heisman acceptance speech. And I mean, that's a goal, right?
Yeah, I was speaking it to existence. Trust me, it was a tough road to get there. It really was.
But that says a lot about your character and your stick-to-itness and the discipline to get there too, and talent, and being blessed along the way to be able to do that. So, with that said, I can't thank you enough for coming on and really sharing, again, your philosophy, what your expectations are, and how you're translating that leadership, not only in coaching, but also in the businesses that you run and how they transform into life. So I can't thank you enough, Coach.
Shanda, thank you for having me. God bless you. And send that book. I want that book. I need it.
I definitely will. I definitely will. And then I get your input. I won't bother you when you're coaching, of course. I'll try to catch you when maybe in off season, but I will
Okay.
definitely see, and we'll catch up. But such a lovely time. I can't thank you enough. Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you to our listeners who are catching the show and sharing it. As many of you know, we are now downloaded in 30 countries, and we appreciate everyone that's listening and following the show. And we're in 38 states. We're still wrapping up those last 12, but we appreciate everybody who is participating and giving us feedback, which you can actually send to info@maysAssociatesLTD.com. We appreciate all your feedback and thoughts. Also, too, thank you to our sponsor, Jennifer Pansician, Edward Jones Financial Advising. She's making dreams into reality. And, of course, until next time.
The PinLeader Podcast is hosted by Dr. Shanda Gore and brought to you by Mays & Associates LTD, creating customized solutions for growth in the areas of leadership development, strategic planning, and culture building. Find out more at www.maysassociatesltd.com. Don't forget to subscribe to the PinLeader Podcast and share with others.